Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum and Cokes?
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pump. Really? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live?
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio. We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key. And simulcasting on YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. It was too damn hot to wear the poncho, but I got these, and I got the hat. Let's go, Cinco de Mayo.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. With a cool one in his head.
Yeah! Howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? I am ready for game number one. I hope you are too on this Cinco de Mayo. Hope you're having yourself a nice cold beverage and maybe some good food somewhere here on May 5th as we head into a game one scenario with the Baltimore Orioles. Okay, let's get you set for this series because the lineup is out, and we're going to go ahead and dive in to the Braves lineup and then kind of go from there. The Atlanta Braves and the Baltimore Orioles. First of all, it'll be Max Fried on the mound, and we all know how great he's been. I couldn't believe I came across a video last night where a guy was going on and on about some other pitcher having the best ERA in baseball, was bragging on his .7, I think is what it was. And I finally had to chime in and go, dude, Max Fried's doing better than that. 20 innings. .45 ERA. Come on, let's go. Max Fried, I know that he had the couple of starts missed because of the minor injury, but Max Fried's been incredible this year. Dean Kramer is going to be on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles, and we'll get all their lineups and averages in and everything right before first pitch. First pitch right here, 7:20 Eastern on Braves Country HD. We are live on 99.1 FM WQEE and simulcasting worldwide on YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country HD wherever you are on YouTube. Now, the game tonight, it's going to be an interesting game because Baltimore's got some sticks. They've got some offense. Atlanta has some offense as well. And I think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring series, but the Braves have the better pitching and should outlast the Orioles. I'm not expecting a sweep. You can't expect a sweep, especially when a team is 21-10. They're 12-6 on the road. It's interesting that the Braves are so damn good on the road and only 7-7 at home. Now, some of that has to do with who we've played on the road and who we've played at home. But it's still very, very interesting that you would be 7-7 on the road, and what are we now? 15-3 on the 15-3 on the road, 7-7 at home. So we want to clean that up and add to the W's at home. Ronald Acuna Jr. is in the lineup tonight, so that is a bonus. We weren't sure. This second time this week that Acuna has gotten banged up, taken out of the game, and we're thinking he may miss a game or two or even worse, and he's right back in the lineup. Now, last night's game, while we were doing the broadcast, I told y'all that I saw him kind of gingerly limping. This was the inning after he had fouled the ball off of his knee. And I just thought it was smart for a number of reasons, go ahead and get him out of the game. One of the main reasons was go ahead and get him treatment. Plus, that game was very close at the time. At the time, it was a one-run game, and you want your best fielders out there in their best condition in case there is a difficult play to be made. So they put Hilliard out there. Didn't end up being a factor, but you never know. So tonight we're going to go back out there with your typical 1, 2, 3, 4 punch of Acuna, Olsen, Riley, and outside of that, you're going to have this is where it's been different. It depends on the starter. Now, tonight you got a right-handed starter, and Kramer, if you're not familiar with Dean Kramer, he can be up and down. He's one of these guys that basically when he's on, he's tough to hit. When he's not, he gets lit up. He's got a 6.67 ERA. So that tells you right there that he has been lit up this year. He's pitched 29 innings. He's got, 25 strikeouts, but 9 walks. And here's the big thing. And this is why I think the Braves are going to get to him tonight. And Vegas does too. We're minus 205 right now on the money line. The Atlanta Braves are going to go into this game in Truist Park, which is a home run hitter's park. We all know that. 7 home runs given up in 29 innings by Kramer. So I think the Braves get at least 2 off of him tonight. But after Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Murphy, which has pretty much been standard 1 through 4, whether it's been righty or lefty, Rosario is going to be out in left field and batting 5th, and then you're going to get Ozzie switch hitting, batting 6th and playing 2nd. Ozuna is back in the lineup. Now, I know some folks hate it. Some folks, we got a couple of folks that tune into the game every night, and they are Ozuna fans. They're behind him 100%. I'm kind of indifferent. I like to give everyone a hard time about it because I know it's a very sticky issue with a lot of folks. A lot of folks are fed up with him. But he's been really hot this week, so they're going to put him back out there. I still think it might be fool's gold. He hits really well in Marlins Park. For me to be a believer, he's got to do it this weekend at home against Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't have a great pitching staff. Baltimore's got some good young hitters, but they don't have a great pitching staff. They got a good back end of the bullpen. If Baltimore has a lead at the end of the game, that Bautista's got some filthy stuff. After Ozuna, Sam Hilliard's going to be there playing center field, giving Michael Harris some more time off. And then here's the big news. Brandon Shoemake is going to make his debut, hitting number 9 and playing shortstop. Grissom takes a seat. They went and gave one of those phantom ILs to Adrianza. I mentioned earlier in the week it was time to get rid of Adrianza. Now they're giving him a phantom IL. I don't believe it's got anything to do with him being injured. I think it's got more to do with the fact that they're going to give him as much time to quote-unquote rehabilitate. They came up with the old-fashioned inflammation in the right shoulder or bicep or whatever it was. We all know a phantom IL when we see one. And they're going to put him back on the phantom IL. And then they're probably going to send him to a rehab assignment. And when he comes back on the rehab assignment, if he's still not hitting, they're probably going to DFA him. He's been given plenty of opportunity, and now this is going to be, until Arcia comes back, this is going to be a true platoon system between Shoemake and Vaughn Grissom. Vaughn Grissom has not played well in the field. He's done okay at the plate, nothing to write home about, but he hasn't been horrible either. He gives you some good at-bats at the plate. There's no doubt about that. He's a hard out. What I like about Grissom at the plate, one of my favorite things about Grissom, is he's willing to hit the ball the other way. He's not trying to yank it out of the park and pull it and rip it over the wall. You know, he's not smelling himself thinking that he's going to go out there and just be a one-man hitting show. If there's a guy on second, nobody out, he's going to try to do the right thing and move him over to third. You don't see that a lot with young batters. Most young batters are trying to be the hero. So, with all that being said, I like where they're going with this, and let the two of them platoon, and we'll just see where it goes. With there being more right-handers than left-handers in the majors, I would definitely have to say that you're not going to have a true platoon, a straight platoon, meaning it's not going to be righty-righty, lefty-lefty, right? But I say you give them both equal opportunities at the plate, and let's just see how it unfolds. And as far as Ozuna goes, even best case scenario, when Travis d'Arnaud comes back, he's going to be in a platoon role. In a perfect role, what they want him to do with Ozuna is they want him to be able to be a designated hitter, but also play left field against left-handed batters. Because if he can play left field, I said batters, I meant pitchers. If he can play left field against left-handed pitchers, and Rosario play left field against right-handed pitching, and Travis d'Arnaud, who, by the way, has been sent out on a rehab assignment, so he should be back next week. If you get that situation rolling around with giving Murphy a day off here and there, and obviously he'll come into the fold with the designated hitter, you would have 4 legitimate guys rolling in and out at the DH role, and then every once in a while giving Acuna and Harris a day off with Sam Hilliard, and don't forget we also have Kevin Pillar. But when Travis d'Arnaud comes back, there's going to be some discussions on where they go from there at that point. Now, Trump will get sent, but after that, I'm talking about long term. Then it'll basically come down to this summer, who plays the best? And whoever plays the best will be the ones that they'll ride with. And as we get closer and closer towards the end of the summer, assuming that the Braves are still playing good baseball and headed to the postseason, that's when you're going to see them trim the fat. This is the last year that Ozuna is going to get an honest try to be able to stay on this team. If we go into next year and he's had another kind of a piddling year, you probably won't even see him. He'll probably get DFA'd during the offseason. Everybody wants to trade him, but you can't trade a guy that nobody wants. Now, my personal opinion, the best case scenario would be for him to catch fire, relatively fire, not what he was doing in 2020. If he's doing what he's doing in 2020, he's going to be in the starting lineup every day. But let's say he starts hitting well, and then there may be a trade market for him. But right now, there is no trade market for him. Because it would be great to be able to trade Ozuna, get something back that could help the team elsewhere. Because honestly, the Braves could make it work with Pillar and Rosario and Hilliard, and then, of course, Harris and Acuna in the outfield, along with d'Arnaud and Murphy. And you might be able to trade Ozuna for something we really need, like some back of the bullpen help. But he would have to get pretty hot, and he would have to make it to the point where it would make it difficult to trade. If you're ever sitting out there talking about doing a trade, and you quickly go, I just want to trade him. I just want to trade for everything. Realize something. Nobody wants that guy. Nobody wants that guy. Absolutely nobody wants that guy. And you can't just say, well, we're going to trade him for this, we're going to trade him for that. That's called DFAing. That's called you're just going to cut bait. And I don't think the Braves want to do that at this point. Remember, there's still some ego involved when it comes to Anthopoulos. There really is. There's still some ego when you're talking about going and making a trade or making a move and getting rid of a guy. There's still some ego that goes, man, I signed this guy to a 4-year, $64 million deal, and if I go out there and just drop him, just flat out drop him, then what does that do? And so, with that being said, I don't think Ozuna's going in. Ozuna saved his job for the time being because of what happened this weekend in Miami. Because of what happened this weekend in Miami, Ozuna's going to be around, and whether you like it or not, it's the facts. It is the absolute facts. And so we've got the Orioles coming into town. We've got a 3-game set. And I find it interesting because when you talk about what the pitching staff's going to look like going forward this weekend. Now, remember, we had the doubleheader on Monday. And that doubleheader on Monday ended up being where we had both Strider and Morton going on that doubleheader. Now tomorrow Strider's going to get the ball, so he gets the early nod. But remember, he went first on Monday. Bradish is getting the ball for the Orioles. That's another guy with another above 6 ERA. Now we're going to bring to you tonight's game at 7:20. We're also going to bring you Sunday's game at 11:35. And at 11:35, it's going to be Bryce Elder versus Wells. And I find that interesting because Charlie Morton, in theory, should have been taking the ball. And it looks like they're going to give Charlie Morton the extra day of rest, or actually an extra 3 days of rest, because he won't pitch until Tuesday night against the Red Sox. The Braves are off on Monday. So I find that interesting. That may have to do with age. It may have to do with the fact that Elder's pitching so well that they want him to go right back to the bump. And it may have a little bit of combination of the two. I mean, look, right now, Bryce Elder, who's pitching well every 5th day, and he pitched Tuesday, so it falls in line. He's not pitching on short rest by any stretch of the imagination. He's 3-0 with a 1.75 ERA. And so, with all that being said, man, you were talking about giving Charlie Morton 8 days of rest. And it could honestly just be because of, I mean, what is he, 38 years old at this point? So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Charlie Morton comes back against the Red Sox on Tuesday. And Bryce Elder will go this weekend. And, of course, Baltimore doesn't have a big book on Bryce Elder, so that could have a lot to play into. Remember something, too. Charlie Morton played against the Orioles quite a bit when he was in Tampa Bay. So maybe it's trying to give them a different look. But I'd say it's probably, because I got this question shortly before we went on the air. Charlie Morton being seen a lot by the Orioles and the combination of him being an older pitcher, they're going to give him 8 days rest. And so maybe that, rejuvenates him and whatnot. And so there you have that. So that's how it'll lay out this weekend. It'll be Freed, it'll be Strider, it'll be Bryce Elder. And you cannot complain about what Bryce Elder has done by any stretch of the imagination. And it's been it's damn near, I'm not going to say shocking because he pitched well last year, but what we saw in spring training, and then for him to just go down and take a couple of starts, and then he was forced into action because Dodd and Schuster, they both spit the bit. He comes out, he's been rolling. He's been almost perfect. I mean, let's be honest, a 1.75 ERA in the major leagues, that is perfect, especially once you get past 2 starts. Plus, there's not much better than that. So, should be a really fun weekend to watch the Braves. And, I mean, let's at least get a winning record at home. 7-7? It's a little shocking. When you're doing so well, when you're 15-3 on the road, you expect to be better than 7-7 at home. But that's where we are. We'll go into tonight with Freed. He's plenty rested. He got an extra day of rest. And I want to double check something real quick, but I don't think many, I don't have time to get into the whole thing, but not many folks in this entire Baltimore roster has seen Max Fried or Spencer Strider or Bryce Elder for that matter. I don't think anyone has seen Bryce Elder. So you're talking about a decided advantage against a very good offensive team. Now, granted, we haven't seen a lot of their pitchers, but their starting pitching has been really bad. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to bring Bobby in, and we're going to talk some NBA, some NFL, and talk some more MLB here very, very shortly. Tones is on the way. We got our cool games to talk about on a Cinco de Mayo, baby. Let's go on Braves Country here on a TGI Friday and Cinco de Mayo. Doesn't get much better than that. We'll be back in a flash.
But, I want to say one thing in all seriousness. I feel sorry for you people that don't drink. I mean it, because when you wake up in the morning, that's as good as you're going to feel all day.
Armchair.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
You're talking about a bunch of unproven kids who were in the prom. Literally, they were in the prom like 6 months ago at their high school.
No, they weren't because they were
on lockdown.
Exactly.
Okay, they were at a.
These are promless teenagers.
If he's from a Big Ten state,
They were at a.
If he's from a Big Ten state, he didn't have prom. I can guarantee you that.
They were at a virtual prom. Anyway, so it's tough for Wisconsin.
That's called porn. That's called porn.
Stop it. They get a break this week because I got a mess to clean up, guys. Yeah.
Virtual prom.
There's my walk off for the day. Thanks, Mac. I got to dry my keyboard out now.
Armchair.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Started training mixed martial arts, MMA, some people call it UFC. You do UFC? UFC is an organization. MMA, mixed martial arts, is a sport. That's like saying you do NBA, you know? You do Golden State Warrior. Anyway.
Welcome back! After Bobby quit blocking all of my emails, he has now joined me. What the hell's going on, man? I've sent you like 9 emails today.
I only got that last one. Thankfully, we got it in right at the buzzer, but that's the only one I was able to find.
Well, I saw your comment, but I'm trying to talk and manipulate the whole thing as we go.
Well, it was funny because when I was watching
the first one's got caught up in my outbox. I did see that. I was like, what the hell?
Weird.
But anyways, after that, I sent the other ones about an hour or so ago, and I was like, what? He still doesn't have them? Jeez,
that's weird. Yeah, I'm not sure why.
I know why.
Today, but
yeah.
Hey, man, I can show you this. I'll show you my inbox.
What do you got? Kansas Jayhawks on today?
Kansas Jayhawks?
What's on your hat?
Oh, this is just Colorado.
It's what?
Just the hat I got out in Colorado.
Didn't they just get their butts kicked?
Hey, man, I just got it because I went out there. I don't like any Colorado teams.
Oh. I thought you meant the Avalanche.
Oh, no. Nah.
Have you been watching
They just got eliminated?
Have you been watching the NHL playoffs?
I've been like slightly keeping up with it. I haven't watched it a ton, though. Most of my focus has been NBA playoffs, which is kind of weird because last year I was focused on the NHL playoffs quite a bit.
Yeah, I've lost complete interest. I mean, I've lost all interest, in the NHL playoffs. What little that I had, any of the teams that I was keeping an eye on, they're all gone. So I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm out. There's no way you're going to convince me to watch the Panthers versus the Maple Leafs.
Ain't gonna happen. I'm with you there.
I'm not even sure if that's the NHL. I'm like, what? Is that the CFL? Did you see that CBS is carrying the CFL this year?
Really?
Yeah.
That's not going to pull many viewers. I'm not sure why they'd be doing that.
I'm with you. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, that's not something I'll probably tune into. I'd maybe tune into like XFL, USFL. I didn't watch any of that though, but maybe I would do it. But
they started in weird. They started middle of the summer. So, because I think they try to be done. It's not by the time the NFL starts, but it's like a month in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, I want to say they start their season around June. I mean, I have zero interest in it, but I found it interesting that CBS is carrying. Now, I'd be willing to bet it ends up on that CBS Sports Network by week 2. I bet they give it one college try of putting it on the big boy, and then we're going to get, dude, there was like 3 people that watched that game. I'm out. Like,
yeah.
It's going to be about like when the XFL came on in week 1 and everyone had it and they were gearing it up. And by week 2, like you had to be a subscriber to FXX to be able to get the game.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to last long on national TV.
I've had a couple of buddies texting me that are actually keeping up with the USFL. I was a little surprised. I still haven't gotten interested in that. The timing of it is just awful.
Yeah, the timing of it, and you know, by the time the NFL season's over, you're not really burnt out, but you can use a break. And then you also have the off-season stuff. You have free agency and the draft. So it's like, I can do without watching USFL and all that.
I've brought it up many times, but once again, if any of these were smart, and it sounds like the CFL is the smartest, but if any of these ones that were, you know, the XFL, USFL, any of them, if any of them wanted to actually hit the marketing and run with it, you would have it start sometime in June.
Yeah.
Maybe July, but like late June, somewhere around the time when the NBA and the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup playoffs are ending, start it. Maybe even have it be like let's say if TNT or who carries the NBA Finals nowadays? Is it ABC, ESPN?
I'm not quite sure. Let me look it up.
So let's say they're carrying the NBA Finals, which I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's
ABC.
Maybe one of the weekend NBA final games have it lead into it. So you put a USFL game or whichever one that they're locked into, and have them lead into it and say, hey, this is the kickoff of the weekend. By next weekend, we're going to be rolling this 24/7. Basketball and hockey is going to be over with. And the folks who are not baseball fans, you might be able to get them to link onto it a little bit. It's going to be a slow draw. You're going to have to slowly build the fan base. But you have zero chance of getting anyone fully excited by this when you're trying to compete with two major playoffs. The Major League Baseball season is in full effect now, and it's become more popular than it's ever became. It's viewing and listening and streaming numbers are through the roof. They are killing the NBA and the NHL right now. But you still have NBA and NHL fans that are going to be watching their championships.
Mm-hmm.
And then also during this time period, there's a handful of these majors coming around, right? Like you got the Masters. And then is it next month? Yeah, next month you'll have, well, actually this month we'll have the PGA Championship because they moved that around. And then you're going to have the U.S. Open. And there's always something going on with the golf. And then, of course, the tennis championship. Just the spring is just a stupid time to try to, hey, let's go ahead and try to cut our niche out.
Mm-hmm. And even for people who are like devoted football fans, that's their main thing. It's still a lot of focus on free agency, the draft, and it overlaps. And it's not a good time,
right,
for USFL.
Yeah,
and XFL.
And the thing is, if you wait till June, all that's settled.
Yep. Nobody cares about the NFL in that time.
Right,
exactly. We're well into the offseason. There's no more rumors going around. There's nothing
you have to
care about.
Be a mental patient to be paying attention to the tweets going on in the OTAs and all the other junk going on in the offseason in the NFL. Who cares? Unless you see something pop up that says so-and-so tore his ACL, it's all irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like I think this weekend, most teams are doing their rookie OTAs.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's just them going and filling out paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a couple of wind sprints and go, all right, we'll see you in June.
Yep.
Don't do anything stupid. Stay off those ATVs.
Mm-hmm.
Stay off the ATVs. Stay out of the bars and stay off the police blotter, and we'll see you come June.
Mm-hmm. That's about
How
all
about
it is.
this? You're the NBA guy. The Milwaukee Bucks fire Mike Budenholzer. I thought that was incredibly classless.
I'm with you, with the timing of his brother dying.
His brother just died!
And that was cold.
During the series that they lost.
Yeah. Now, if it was like weeks before or something, it still may weigh on his mind, but it's less of an excuse at that point. But we're talking about dead in the middle of the series. I mean, it's right square in the middle.
I'm sorry, man, but that's low rent. So he's won him a championship, 3 years ago?
Yeah. I don't even know if it was. Yeah, it was about that long ago.
Right? Well,
yeah.
2021. So three seasons ago, but
yeah.
So he just won a championship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a real championship. It wasn't one of those bubble ships. Last year, he took them pretty deep into the playoffs. This year, they fell flat. But when you find out that the man's brother died suddenly like that, that could definitely make a huge impact, not just on him, but the locker room. They find out about it, man. It's a gut punch.
Absolutely. That combined with, I know Giannis only missed like a game or two, but regardless, that kind of threw off some momentum they may have had in the series. And then you also get the news of the coach's brother dying. It's a terrible situation for especially Budenholzer, but the team. So yeah, you can't really blame him too much for them losing that series. You know, some things are bigger than basketball, so the timing of it as well is terrible.
I was absolutely positively just shocked that they fired him. I had to go back and double check. I was like, wasn't that the guy who just lost his brother?
Yeah, there was, and maybe they could have softened the blow by waiting a little bit longer, but they didn't waste any time.
His brother died in like game 1 or game 2. It was like right in that time period.
And then not long, it was like what, maybe a week after the series wrapped up or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Here's another idea. Maybe see how far Miami goes into the playoffs, deep into the playoffs, and say to yourself, maybe a really good team beat us.
Mm-hmm. And they look like a really good team, too. They look great.
Yeah, look, I know Miami is not what everyone thinks of when they think of like a championship team because they came into they backed their ways into the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they were really good last year, and they pushed the Celtics to a Game 7, a very hard-fought Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
This team is not chopped potatoes, and you fire. It's like you said, the Greek Freak was out for 2 games plus.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he came back, he didn't look like that he was hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah,
I just could not believe that they fired him.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty ridiculous. And I don't think he's a great coach. I think they're probably going to go out and hire Nick Nurse, who I do think is a better coach. But the least they could have done is waited a little bit longer. Because that was, I thought that was kind of out of line.
Unbelievable. As far as, all right, the Lakers, the Warriors, they're tied up now. It's going to go back to L.A. Now, Game 2, Anthony Davis played like crap.
Abysmal.
But I think that's to be expected because he played so well in Game 1. And that's who he is. He
is consistently inconsistent.
And I think a lot of it has to do with health. I think he didn't go out and have a great game the second. What did he play, like 42 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood in Game 1?
Mm-hmm.
That probably took a toll on him.
Yeah, no, and we know he doesn't hold up too well. Playing a lot of games in a row, so
no, he's
garbage.
garbage.
You have a case there. Yeah, I think he bounces back in Game 3 though, knowing him and knowing how inconsistent he can be. I think he has a solid bounce back game for Game 3. I think the Lakers take it too.
Who wins the series in your eyes?
I think the Lakers. I wasn't as confident against them in the Grizzlies. Against the Grizzlies, I didn't think they'd win that series. They came out, put them out in 6 games. I think they're going to win this series. I don't think they'll make it farther. I think this is the last series they win in the playoffs, but I think safe to say exceeded expectations.
How about those Nuggets, baby?
2-0, and they have a chance to make it 3-0 tonight.
I'm loving it. I hope they do. I hope they sweep Phoenix's ass.
I hope they do that, and I hope someone in the Nuggets crowd holds up 4, does the Nuggets in 4 thing right back at them. That would be poetic.
And I hope when they sweep them out, when the Nuggets get to the NBA Finals, whoever they end up playing, I hope they're chanting MVP for Jokic the whole time.
Oh, and they will. You know they will. They'll as soon as they get back to Denver, they're going to be doing it.
What if it ends up being Embiid versus Jokic for the finals?
That would be incredible. That would be incredible.
I do think the Celtics are going to get back on track and put it away tonight. I think they're going to get the 2-1 lead. I expect the 76ers to come out playing really well at the beginning because they're going to give Embiid his MVP trophy tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of emotion there. But the Celtics look like that they hit that next gear, and it's now a best-of-5 series, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got to win one in Philly.
Absolutely.
No time like the present. Celtics are. I'm a little surprised that they're favored. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I would definitely take the Celtics on the money line. I don't know if I'd be messing around with the point spread. From what I saw, it was minus 140 on the money line.
Mm-hmm.
Celtics defense ramped up a notch. Now, here's my biggest concern as a Celtics fan. and watching them this year and watching them last year and comparing them to what Joe's team is compared to Uduke's team last year, is that last year I felt like they had a defensive intensity that was real.
Mm.
Last year's team would have walked through and won the championship this year.
Yes.
Because that Golden State team last year doesn't exist this year.
Mm-hmm.
But their defense has been soft, comparable.
Mm-hmm.
They have got to step that up because you cannot let, first of all, you can't let James Harden and the Embiidless 76ers go in and steal game one from you. But you let it happen, and now the bounce back, they blow them out in game two. Now, game three is in Philly. I'm just looking at it from the realistic point of view. If you go down 2-1 with game four in Philadelphia on Sunday, it's going to be an uphill climb, and you could be staring down the barrel of 3-1 heading back to your building.
Mm. And still with one game left to play in Philly.
Right.
So that would be. I think game 3 is crucial. I don't want to say whoever wins this game wins the series because I could very well see it heading back to Boston being 2-2. But if the Celtics can take this game, I'm very confident in them winning the series.
That's the way I feel about it. I feel like that if they win game 2, the series is theirs again.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose, game 3. If they lose game 3, then it becomes more of a 50-50.
Yeah.
In my head right now, if the Celtics win, I've got 75, 80, maybe even 85% belief that they're going to win the series. If they lose this series, I'm more like 50-50. I might even be thinking 40-60 that the Celtics might spit the bit.
Yeah. Well, if they can come out and blow the doors off them like they did in game 2, not only obviously 2-1 going into game 4, but you're also going to absolutely demolish the confidence of the Sixers. If you can go in and blow the doors off them again, I think that wraps up the series, no question.
They're going to, tonight's game, the main thing I want to see in tonight's game is from when the first tip of the ball is defensive intensity. I don't give a damn if they're hitting shots. Defensive intensity, because Philly's going to come out on cloud 9. Embiid's getting the MVP trophy. They're in front of their home fans. The series tied 1-1. They are feeling it right now. You got to go out there and punch them in the mouth, essentially. But I'll tell you right now, game comes down the stretch, and Jason Tatum, and we've been saying this for 3 years now, he has got to be a man and sack up and go into the lane and cause contact and force Philadelphia to stop him from scoring. That chucking behind the three-point line, yes, sometimes you hit them, but you're not making the other team work.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing them a favor. And the best that I've ever seen Jason Tatum play is when he would go in there into the paint later in the games, and he did it last year in the playoffs, and I haven't seen a whole lot of it this year.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you there. He needs to get back to doing that, and I think he needs to be the guy in this series. He's got to be the guy for the Celtics. It can't be Jaylen Brown taking the lead in a lot of these games. He's got to be the guy.
And it's funny because the next day everyone kept pointing to the bad pass at the end. That was, it reminded me of what was that, 82 with the Hoyas in North Carolina, where Georgetown just passed it to. Is that Worthy that they passed it to? Anyways, they passed it to the North Carolina guy who was just walking up the court, and they just basically threw it to the wrong jersey. That's not what lost the game. It was the 3 minutes prior to that. And hell, let's be honest, it was the entire 48 minutes because you let the beard beat you. And he comes out getting interviewed like, oh, man, I'm going to hit it. You just got to get out of my way. All that. With that, you haven't done anything for like 5 years. You had one hot quarter, and all of a sudden we're supposed to erect a statue of you in Philadelphia. What the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, he got hot in game 1, but game 2 not so much. So,
anywho, the rest of the NBA slate this weekend, you got Knicks, Heat, Warriors, Lakers. We'll get into those in the cool games, but it is interesting to me that Knicks Heat was pushed back to Saturday. They, in theory, should have played tonight, and Celtics 76ers should have been tomorrow afternoon.
Mm.
The other thing I'll say to this is I think it would have been better for TV to have Knicks Heat tonight and Celtics 76ers tomorrow afternoon leading into. So, in other words, you would have Celtics at 3:30 and Lakers at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they have the big gap in between. I mean, it's 3:30. Those games will be over with by 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then what? You got to wait around 2.5 hours for Warriors Lakers. What the hell are they doing? Knicks Heat should be 5 o'clock tomorrow. I don't understand that. I don't know what they're trying to sell to us. I don't know what's on ABC in between the two games. Don't really care. It's probably some hell. It's probably the XFL or something. But I know I'm not watching it. But it's just it's just really, really strange that they make this huge gap in the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
NFL draft. We haven't seen you since last Friday.
Yep.
What's your biggest takeaways from the NFL draft?
Two teams I thought knocked it out of the park. I loved what the Steelers did, and I loved what the Eagles did. Steelers, they got one of the top tackles in the draft, and they also got a guy who I thought they would take in the first round in Joey Porter Jr. They got him at the top of the second. And then the Eagles, we don't have to talk much about that. They knocked it out of the park. There's no question about it. Pretty much drafted all of that Georgia defense. So, they did good. Those were my two big winners from the draft.
I'll tell you what, I really liked what Tennessee did. First of all, they took care of a big need in the first round with the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not a big fan of Will Levis when people were talking about drafting him 3rd and 4th overall. But in the second round, I feel like he's a steal.
Mm-hmm. And a second-round pick's very valuable, but it's a lot lower risk, so you feel more comfortable. Okay, if this doesn't pan out, it's kind of like Willis last year. You drafted him in the 3rd. Sure, it would suck if he doesn't pan out, but you didn't burn that high pick on him.
Well, and the other thing is the more and more that I read about him and see about him, I'm kind of impressed by the kid. He played with injury his last year at Kentucky. He had a beat-up offensive line. And then when these videos start, have you seen these videos where he's on his knees, chucking the ball and hitting the goalpost 60 yards out?
He's got a cannon. There's no question about it.
The only guy who's ever done that before was Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm. He's got an arm. There's no question about it. I think he has the potential. I don't know if he can put it together, but he has it's kind of like an Anthony Richardson situation where if the situation's right and he has the tools to develop as a player, I could see him being great. But I'm not going to say Levis. I'm not as high on him as I am Richardson, but I don't mind the pick there. And another thing, I know a lot of Titans fans are also Tennessee Vols fans who wanted Hendon Hooker with that pick.
Right.
I don't mind them taking Levis over Hooker. In fact, I'm not high on Hooker at all. I don't think he's going to do terribly well in the league. I think he could be. I like where he went. I like the situation in Detroit. I think that's nearly perfect for him. But I still don't have a lot of confidence given his age, the fact that he's coming off an ACL, and I think he benefited heavily from the system he played in.
I didn't realize till after Tennessee drafted him, I started seeing videos. I didn't realize that Will Levis was the idiot that was like eating bananas fully wrapped and doing all the other
coffee with mayonnaise in it.
Yeah. I remember seeing this guy, and I remember seeing it at the time on TikTok and whatnot, but I never pieced it together that it was Levis.
He is odd, very odd guy.
Sometimes that can work in your favor, but regardless, he's a outstanding athlete.
Yeah,
and he's not going to have to start in year one. Hopefully, hopefully he's able to sit back and let Tannehill do his thing. Do you think that they bring back Dobbs?
No, I don't think they do at this point. I think there'll be 3 quarterbacks on the depth chart. I think it'll be Tannehill, obviously. I think he'll be the week 1 starter, and then you got Levis and Willis competing to be the backup. Ultimately, what I think is going to happen, I think he's going to be the week 1 starter. I'm very confident in that. And then I think at some point in the season, it's going to happen because it always does with Tannehill. He'll have an ankle injury again, and I think Levis probably steps up and starts in his place.
I have my doubts that Willis is on the team.
I wouldn't be terribly shocked if he got moved or cut even.
I think there's a better chance that Dobbs is on the team than Willis in week 1. Now, he might be on the practice squad. Dobbs might be on the practice squad, okay? But I don't think they're going to keep Willis around.
No, I'm not. From what we saw from him last year, I know we knew going into it that he'd be a project, but there wasn't a lot to get excited about. It was a pick that everybody knew, all right, there's a good chance this guy doesn't pan out, but at least it's only a 3rd round pick. So, I mean, it was worth experimenting, but I don't think he's the guy.
So I looked up while we were talking what does come on ABC in between Game 3 Eastern Conference with the Knicks and the Heat and Game 3 with the Lakers and Warriors.
Yeah.
What is going to fill your 2.5 hours on ABC on a Saturday evening as you get amped up to watch this? The national news for 30 minutes, the local news for 30 minutes. This might change depending on what market you're in, but what I'm showing down here, Cindy Crawford and Ellen Pompeo share secrets. I don't know. They're trying to sell you something. It's some kind of infomercial.
Yeah.
A rerun of Jeopardy and then the NBA countdown.
Why?
So it's not even anything that I thought maybe it was something that they were going to try to pawn off on you to get you to watch in between. People are just going to dip out. They're going to go, whatever, and then they'll eventually come back, and most folks are probably going to forget it even came back on, and they'll catch around halftime or whatever. But I get that they're playing out west, but you didn't have to wait till 8:30. But regardless, why did you have to start the Eastern Conference game at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday? This ain't Alabama, Georgia. 3:30 CBS Saturday after. No one's. That's not appointment television. People are going to be out getting on the water. If there's any break in the weather down here, I'm going to go stick my keister in the pool. What the hell, man? Beyond crazy. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Tones will join us, and we will be getting into our cool games and our locks and a whole hell of a lot more. Keep it locked in here on Braves Country today. We're taking you all the way up to the 5 o'clock hour here on 99.1 FM WQEE. And tonight, Braves Country HD brings you Braves Baltimore Orioles game number 1. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, number 1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there. You got a full slate of baseball here on May 5th. First and foremost, it's your Atlanta Braves. First pitch, right here on Braves Country HD, 7:20 Eastern, Kramer versus Max Fried and his 2-0 record with an 0.45 ERA. We'll bring you pitch by pitch, play by play right here on Braves Country HD tonight on YouTube.com. Pre-game show will come your way about 7 o'clock Eastern. Keep it locked in here on Braves Country HD. Other games around the league, The New York Mets will face the Rockies back in Gotham. Kodai Senga will take the hill against Senzatella. That game is a 7:10 first pitch at 7:05. Red Sox, Phillies. Chris Sale versus Zach Wheeler in Philadelphia. Blue Jays and Pirates at 6:35. Bassett versus Hill. The White Sox and Reds go head-to-head. Lance Lynn versus Hunter Green. Yankees and Rays down at the Trop. Chirinos versus Brito. And the Twins and Guardians, Bailey Ober versus Battenfield in Cleveland. A's are at the Royals. Kyle Muller and Keller head-to-head in Kansas City. The Tigers and Cardinals, 8:15 first pitch. Boyd versus Montgomery. At 9:38, it's the Rangers and Angels. Dunning versus Anderson. Nationals and Diamondbacks, 9:40 Eastern. Josiah Gray and Merrill Kelly. The Dodgers and Padres, LA, will send Kershaw to the hill versus Musgrove in San Diego. Astros are at the Mariners. Christian Javier against Luis Castillo. Great pitching matchup there. And the Brewers are at the Giants at 10:15. Corbin Burns versus Sean Manaea. Couple of games in the NBA playoffs tonight, 7:30 Eastern. The Boston Celtics are at Philadelphia to take on the 76ers. Boston, a 2-point favorite. The over-under, 214. The Nuggets are at the Suns tonight. Phoenix giving up 4. 225.5 is the over-under. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, there's one game. The Devils are at the Hurricanes. The puck drops at 8 Eastern. Carolina, minus 115 on the money line. Over-under, 5.5. The lines that we currently have for Major League Baseball tonight: Philly at minus 160. The Mets, minus 240. Braves are minus 210 on the money line. While Toronto, minus 145. Sox and Reds are a pick'em. Twins, minus 120. And Kansas City, minus 155. Arizona's minus 190 at home. The Dodgers, minus 125. While Seattle and Milwaukee, minus 145 on the money line. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on YouTube.com at Braves Country.
What about Kelso? I mean, Jackie has him totally whipped.
Ribbed like the family pig.
I am not pig whipped.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins...
Little Bites?
That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute?
I love Little Bites!
I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay?
Got it.
As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-what, you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious.
I love Little Bites!
There you go.
Yes!
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Like, I don't like winter. Like, I hate winter. Like, I'm originally from North Carolina, and like, look, I hate winter so much, I'm for global warming. I am voting for it, marching for it. I might start buying people SUVs. I don't care. Ladies, start using hairspray again. No ozone. That's our goal. And see, there's people with me, but there's always a couple of crunchy granolas sitting around. Crunchy granolas sitting there thinking, but the polar ice caps are gonna melt and we're all gonna flood. No, we're not. We're not all gonna flood. We're only losing Rhode Island, Long Island, and Jersey. Bye-bye.
Armchair.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
This is Shirley from the bank. The answers are no, no, and yes. No, we won't loan you money. No, we won't accept any co-signers. And yes, your account's overdrawn. I get off at 4:30.
Oh, the season's finally to hear, and the players hit the field, and every man feels like a boy, and every wife could kill. He's been buying beer since August, running hot and running cold, and 30 friends are on alert. That's
Welcome back.
Tony's
is running a little bit late since he's in some kind of traffic situation, so we'll keep an eye on him coming in, popping into the chat. I say we go ahead and get into the cool games, and he can always throw his in as he joins in. Tonight, right here on Braves Country HD, we will have game one of the Orioles versus the Braves, and a couple of news and notes. If you missed the first hour, Acuna is in the lineup. Ronald Acuna Jr. is in the lineup. I think I forgot to mention this, and that's my bad. So much stuff was going on. Not only did Brandon Shoemake get called up today, and Adrianza got put on the IL. I believe it's a phantom IL. I think it's one of those things if you are hitting 0-0-0-0 and your ass is going to go to the IL, and when you come back, you're going to go see if you can hit at all in the minor leagues. And if you can't, it sucks to suck. We'll go ahead and cut you loose. That's what I think is going on. That guy's not had a base hit for the Atlanta Braves since like 2020. He played for us in 2021. I think it was 20 or 23 at bats that year. No base hits. 0. Then the Braves released him. He was picked up by Washington. We grabbed him late in the year last year. I can't remember if he had a base hit or not last year. But this year, he hasn't had a base hit at all. Last time that man had a base hit that I remember, when he was in an Atlanta Braves uniform, we were still trying to find out, was it wet bat that got us all sick, or what the hell was going on? That's how long it's been. And I do not understand why. I think he's got nudie pictures of Snicker or somebody out there that he has stayed on this team for this long. But anyways, he gone. I don't expect him to ever reappear, but we'll see what happens there. You can't predict injuries. Shoemake comes up. He is going to get the start. I believe it's going to be an honest competition between Shoemake and Grissom going forward for that shortstop / utility position. Because when Orlando Arcia comes back, and there was news that broke on him last night, essentially, long story short, he is now taking dry swings. He's back on the mend, and he could be back with the Braves as early as mid to late May. When he comes back, one of those kids are going down. I think it's going to come down to whoever plays the best over the next, we'll say, 10 to 14 days. But then the other big news, and I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention this in the first hour, Raciel Iglesias is back, baby. He's off the IL. The Braves have a closer now. We have the best record in the National League at 22-10, and have not had a closer this entire time. Our closer comes back tonight for the first time this year, and he has looked very good in the minor leagues, and we're excited about that. So, 6-game lead over the Mets, 6-game lead over the Marlins, and 7-game lead over the Phillies heading into this weekend. So everything good, going good in Braves country. So we got caught up with that. Let's go ahead and get into cool games, Bobby. I'm going to give you first pick. You're going to do 2 this weekend. All right?
Yes, sir. You got it. All right. Well, I'll start with one of the games tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time. I got 76ers and Celtics. It's heading back to Philly for Game 3. This is a crucial game in this series. I think the Sixers have to win this game in my mind after what happened in Game 2, and the Celtics have a chance to really swing the momentum in their favor if they can win this game on the road, first game back in Philly, especially after Joel Embiid just won MVP. So this is a huge game in the series. I think if the Celtics win, and they win in big fashion, I think they take this series. But the Sixers, if they can win, I still give them a good chance. So I'm really excited for this one. I think it'll be closer in Game 2. I hope it will be. But that's my first cool game.
All right, so if you're going to take that one, I am going to switch gears and go to tomorrow night, Warriors-Lakers. It is game number 3, a very pivotal game in this series. I believe the winner of this game probably wins the series, and the reason why I say that is it's a little different situation for the Celtics and Sixers. I think this is a very, very even series. I didn't think I'd say that a month and a half ago, but it feels like an even series. And if the Warriors go into the Lakers' home court and take game 3, I don't know if the Lakers can go out and beat the Warriors. At that point, they'd have to beat them, 3 of the next four games?
Mm-hmm.
Conversely, if the Lakers win, game 4 is going to be back in their building. Can the Warriors win 3 or 4 games? I don't know if they're that good this year. So, Warriors-Lakers, to me, game 3 is the biggest game of the weekend. Give me that as my cool game number 1. What's your next cool game?
My next cool game, I'm also going with the Sunday game. I was thinking about yours, but I also have this one written down. I got Knicks Heat tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Time. Awkward time.
You said Sunday, but you meant Saturday, right?
I thought it was Knicks Heat. I thought that was tomorrow, no?
Tomorrow's Saturday.
Tomorrow's Saturday, my bad. I mixed them up. I don't know why I thought today was Saturday.
Gotcha. I was just making sure I was on the same page. All right.
Yeah, my bad on that one. But yeah, Knicks Heat tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern Time. Awkward timing for the first game of the night, but it's still an interesting game. Very big game. Heading back to Miami with Jimmy Butler likely back. I think if the Heat win this game, I think it,
is he expected back, by the way?
There's a lot of optimism that he's going to be back. It's not certain yet. He's still day-to-day, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be back. And looking at his reaction to how the last game ended, where he was on the sidelines nodding and smiling, I'm pretty sure he's going to be back when they head back to Miami. So this is a huge game for the Heat. I think if they win this, they pretty much say, look, if we have Butler, we're not losing to you guys. And I don't think they will. I don't know if they'll win this series in 5 when Butler comes back, but I think they're a much better team. So this is a huge game 3. And if the Knicks can win, steal a game on the road, this series becomes a lot more interesting. So I'm looking forward to this one.
All right, I'm going to go to Major League Baseball. I'm not going to go Braves. I think that's just too much low-hanging fruit. I do think this Braves-Orioles entire series is going to be very fun. It's going to be a lot of scoring. Glad to see Acuna's back. I'm hoping Michael Harris is back in the lineup by tomorrow. Hilliard is in the lineup today, by the way. So I'm going to go Major League Baseball. Man, I'm so burned out on Dodgers-Padres. And they're forcing it down our throat again on ESPN on Sunday night. You could probably talk me into that one being the cool game just because it's in San Diego and their fans really get into it. And I would have went with tonight's game in Los Angeles, but it's no longer Musgrove versus Kershaw. They have punted Musgrove back to the Sunday night games. So it's going to be Urias versus Musgrove, which that's a decent matchup. But I'm going to go a little different, a little off the beaten track with the Major League Baseball. Let me take it to Sunday afternoon, 1:40. Garrett Cole, 5-0 on the year with a 1.35 ERA, going into the Trop against the Rays, and Josh Fleming, who has a 3.18 ERA. I love that matchup, and that could be an enormous game. You realize that the Yankees are like 9 games out in the loss column right now of the Tampa Bay Rays. They play 6 times over like the next 10 days. They could find themselves right back in the thick of it, or they could be way the hell back in the rearview mirror. The Yankees better pick it up, and they better pick it up in a big way. And no matter what happens on Friday and Saturday, if Garrett Cole goes out there and gets handled by the Rays like he has been in the past, that is good. The Yankees have not played well in the Trop. They better do it this weekend. That is going to be a huge, huge game. I can't always say this about Major League Baseball. There are 4 or 5 really good series this weekend. the Braves-Orioles is a fun one just because the Orioles are a young team, 21-10 in their own right, playing very good baseball. They're a young team that scores a lot of runs, so they're a fun team to watch. But you got Red Sox, Phillies, and the Red Sox are playing a little better than I think a lot of people expected. They're 19-14 on the year. They're going into Philadelphia. Philadelphia's been scuffling, but they're still hanging around there. Like, they're nowhere near like being. I wouldn't even say that their start is even concerning if I'm a Phillies fan. Like, we'll worry about getting in with the wild card. We'll be fine. Now, if you get midsummer and you're below the Mendoza line, then I would start to worry. There's a couple of other decent series this weekend, and Mariners Astros is an interesting one. It's in Seattle. Astros are off to a slow start again. I feel like the Astros do this every damn year, though. They start off muddling around 500, and then there's like a 2.5-month stretch in the middle of the summer where they lose maybe 3 games, and they just blow the doors off the division. But the Mariners were expected to be a contender. They're 15-16. You can't expect a team who's never done it before to just put in the next gear. And this is a big series in Seattle. I really like that series. The Dodgers-Padres one is a fun series, but I'm getting to the point where I would have to be a fan of one of those teams for that to grab my attention anymore, because they've been at each other so if they end up back in the playoffs against each other, that's fun. But regular season, I like seeing the different matchups, which is the fun part about the Major League Baseball season this year, that everybody's playing each other, which they've never done that before. The NBA playoffs. If you had a third game, which one would you lean to?
Well, given that there's only one game we haven't picked yet, I'm not going to go with Suns Nuggets. I don't think that's a terribly cool game. I think that's a pretty predictable game. I think the Suns winning that one. I'm not going to say it's obvious, but that's what I'm expecting to happen. So I'll agree with you on Warriors Lakers. I think that's a very interesting game. Like you said, a very even series. I know you asked me how I think that series is going to go earlier. I don't. This is the hardest one to get an idea of. This game 3 is crucial. I think I'm not going to say that the winner of this game wins the series, but they'll have a big leg up. But yeah, I'm a lot less confident in my prediction on who wins this series than the rest of them. So game 3, I'm really up in the air about, so I'm excited for.
I see the comment by Underwater talking about the Matt Harvey retirement. I saw that tweet a couple of hours ago, and I was like, how old is this tweet? Like, Matt Harvey? That guy's been out of baseball for like 3 years. And he announces his retirement. I know you're more of a basketball fan. It's almost to the it would be very close for you to read on the bottom ticker today that Carmelo Anthony has announced that he will not try to come back and play basketball. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, was that even a possibility? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
He announces his retirement. Don't you have to be playing to be retired? You can't walk in. I can't walk into a couple of restaurants that I've worked at over the years. By the way, guys, I want you to know I'm retired. We fired you. Get out of here. Quit coming in here. I just want you to know I'm not coming back. We know, and we're going to call security if you walk in here. All right, well, just as long as you understand that I'm no longer interested in working here. What the hell are you talking about?
I was thinking it's like Larry Fitzgerald announcing he's retiring, like today.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, Matt Harvey saying he's retiring is like saying, NSYNC decided that they're not going to tour this summer. Okay. David Lee Roth has decided he's not going to get back together with Van Halen. Oh, okay, thanks for the update. It just makes no sense. You see the over-under on the Jets' win total right now is sitting at just 9.5. They won 7 games last year.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. 7 games without having a quarterback last year.
But I'm
Now
just
they had Aaron
saying,
Rodgers.
what did they bring in with Aaron Rodgers if he's only improving their odds to win 2 more ball games? I'm just saying, what the hell did they do?
Yeah, I like the over on that. I think I'm not going to say it's free because a lot can happen. A lot of teams fall flat and disappoint, but I don't mind that.
I don't know. Who's going to win the AFC East this year in your mind? Is it Buffalo again?
I think Buffalo gets it done, but I think the Jets are like the top wild card team. Maybe the second highest wild card team.
I'm drinking the Jets Kool-Aid. I think the Jets are going to do it.
Well, they have a strong roster, but the only hole, or one of the main holes last year was quarterback, and obviously they filled that with Rodgers. And the good thing about that coaching staff is I wasn't a huge fan of the hires they made this offseason, but Rodgers has a familiar face as his offensive coordinator in Hackett. So it's not there won't be a whole lot of, chemistry needing to be built. He already has that with his offensive coordinator. He has Randall Cobb, obviously, still. He's keeping him around. And he has a great team around him. So, yeah, I think that team succeeds. I think they go – I'm going to say they make it out of the wild card. I won't sit here and crown them already, but I think they, meet expectations at least.
It's going to be I know he didn't have a lot of choices because he was coming from an NFC team, but I don't think Green Bay was going to trade him to an NFC team.
Yeah.
But that's a very, very difficult transition to go over into the AFC. I mean,
it is. It's a much harder conference.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Joe Burrow over there, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, although I think Buffalo's a fraud. I
do too.
Every year they are paper tigers. They're going to have they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a very good record. And then someone who's a little tougher and a little meaner is going to knock them out.
Yep.
And what in the hell is Damar Hamlin doing talking about coming back and playing football?
There's no need for him to. I get it'd be a great story, but I don't know why he'd risk that. It doesn't seem worth it.
I mean, he comes back and plays, and he ruins another fantasy football championship weekend. People are going to be up in arms. That's all I know, man. That's all I know.
Hey, man, if it happens the second time, people are going to get pretty pissed now.
Yeah, they're going to be like, really?
At first, they were like, okay, we get it. But second time, I know Matt. I talked to him at work when that happened. And he was like, I don't know what's going to happen with our playoffs. And he needed like 7 points from Burrow and Jamar Chase. And I think he got it. But they went and took the points back initially as if the game never happened. So he had no idea what was going to happen. He almost got screwed over.
Lamar Jackson says that he wants to throw for 6,000 yards. Did you see this?
I'd shoot for 3,000 first.
I mean, my first question was, are we talking about for the rest of his career? What, 6,000 yards?
Maybe 6,000 by the end of his contract. Maybe that's what it is.
It's not what he said. He said, man, I just want to go out there. Has he ever thrown for 4,000? I'm not sure.
Maybe his MVP season he got off that high, but even like 3,000 has been a tough number to reach for him lately.
What is your lock and your walk-off for the day?
My lock, I have Suns -4. I think they bounce back. I think they take the first game back at home for them. I know they're without CP3, but I don't see them going down 3-0 in this series. If they do, it's over. Wrap it up. Bring out the brooms. But I don't see them letting that happen. And I think 4 points. I think they cover that. I don't think it's. I think they keep it within single digits. I think the Nuggets do, but I think the Suns cover.
Are you going out and Raising Cain on this Cinco de Mayo?
Not tonight. No, not tonight. I'm probably going to be inside. Not doing a ton.
Dude, what
boring
are you, 20,
night,
21? How old are you nowadays?
20.
You're 20ing wrong. That's all I can tell you, man. It's Cinco de Mayo on a Friday night. That doesn't happen often, my friend. Go out and make bad decisions. Telling you, man. Bad decisions will give you great memories down the road. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I see Tones jumping into the window, so he did make it here safely. We will be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in here on WQEE and Braves Country HD on YouTube.com.
Why do you keep your mouth shut? I'm not taking off my clothes today. I'm styling and profiling. You just be glad I'm here looking the way I look.
Armchair. That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves Baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves Baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves Country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves Country Baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
This helpful instructional message from the National Association of People Who Have Trouble Walking and Chewing Gum at the same time. Step, chew. Step, chew. Step, chew. Step, chew.
Welcome back to Braves.
Bright beneath the North Texas sky, in the heart of the Lone Star State, is a galaxy of extraordinary football play. They are the Dallas Cowboys, a freewheeling, all-American, star-kissed team, motivated and disciplined by the genius of a coach named Landry. The Cowboys are pro football's glamour team, dynamic, progressive, and spectacular. But Coach Tom Landry has learned more along the way to the Super Bowl than by winning.
Well, I don't think I would enjoy my profession if I knew I was always a winner. I think it's really the chase that's important. It's the challenge that you're after, much more than the winning.
The chase begins with defense.
It looks like confusion to anybody who doesn't know much about the game because it looks like it's just 11 men attacking each other at one time. But as you learn the game, it becomes very scientific, especially in professional football. It becomes very intriguing and exciting.
Armchair.
It all. Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Welcome back! Mr. Tones, are you ready for Cinco de Mayo, baby?
Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. To celebrate. Hope everybody has a good and safe Cinco de Mayo out there. One of the more celebrated days of the year here in the United States. So hats off to everybody taking part of it. Cheers.
Man, I was gonna wear my I've got a couple of sports ponchos that I bought down in Mexico when we went on vacation. I put it on. I was like, it is too damn hot in this studio, man. I can't do it, man. It's because it's basically made of wool. I was very close to. I'll do it sometime, but I couldn't bring myself to do it today because not only is it hot, but the mask I was gonna wear with it too. It's almost like an old. Well, you know what? I don't want to ruin the surprise, but you wrestling fans will like it one time. I'll put it on.
Sounds like an old luchador.
Yeah, there's a couple of options. I kind of mixed and matched when I bought them down there. My wife at the time was like, "Why are you buying this? You're never gonna wear it." I was like, "Oh, I'll wear it." And I've worn some of it on the show before, but it's been a while, so I'll probably open that back up probably sometime this summer. But Cinco de Mayo, Braves, Orioles. You weren't here for cool games, so I'm gonna go ahead and get yours. No matter, don't worry about the ones we've already picked. Give me a couple cool games that you're looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, sorry about that. Better late than never, though. Something crazy happened out there. The first cool game I'm looking at
I don't know if you
here,
got in a checkpoint or something, man.
Yeah, you'll see me on the news on Cinco de Mayo. No, something unfortunate looked like it happened. So thoughts and prayers to those involved out there. Looked like a bad accident. But my first cool game I'm looking forward to this weekend is Edmonton and Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are up 1-0 in the series. Edmonton has had a better season than many had thought. A couple better players in the world of hockey, that is. And it's supposed to be a close one tonight. The win percentage, Edmonton's -129 on the straight-up line. Golden Knights are actually +106 at home on that line. Puck drops tonight. Tomorrow, I'm sorry. That is tomorrow. That game's tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and Golden Knights are up 1-0 in that series. So I like that one for hockey fans. And then obviously with the baseball guy I'm always looking around the diamond and seeing what intrigues me, what matchups intrigue me, specifically pitching matchups that intrigue me. And one matchup specifically is this, although I like, Strider starts tomorrow, it's against Bradish. So as much as I wanted to pick Braves, Orioles, I had to roll with Yankees, Rays. The Rays are red hot, and their arch nemesis comes to town, the Yankees. Yankees fans invade that stadium. The Rays are actually opening up the upper deck of Tropicana Field for the first time in forever for this series with New York coming to town. That pitch is 4:10 Eastern tomorrow, and that matchup to me is a very exciting one. Both guys aren't doing as great as they're used to. Domingo Germán and Drew Rasmussen both have put together some solid starts of late. Their numbers are a little higher than what we're used to seeing, but I like that game a lot. Rasmussen, Domingo Germán, Rays, Yankees, game on. That's 4:10 Eastern tomorrow. So you could double dip if you'd like. 4:10 Eastern tomorrow, you get Rays, Yankees, then 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, you could get Oilers, Golden Knights.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Rays Yankees Sunday. That was one of my cool games because it's Garrett Cole versus Fleming.
Fleming's been pitching really nice too.
I found it interesting. Did you see that they sent Taj Bradley back down?
Yeah, and I kind of disagreed with that, but I'm not going to doubt Kevin Cash because he's been an incredible manager since he's taken over. But Taj Bradley, to me, he pitched pretty effective through his first 3 starts. And with the Rays injuries, specifically Jeffrey Springs and Tyler Glasnow, and Eflin's already had a mini IL stint. A little surprising to me to not see Taj Bradley stick around. The Rays must have seen something a little off with his game that they want to get fixed.
The reason for sending him back down was he has been on a 6-day rotation because that's how he was brought into the fold with the Tampa Bay Rays last year and going into this year. They're sending him back down to get used to a 5-day rotation every 5th day. So that's what the reason. I mean, I don't understand why you couldn't have done that up here in the majors, but they're sending him back down so he'll go down there and you almost wonder if there's some kind of manipulation with his time being played. But the article I read was it's to get him ready for a 6-man rotation. a 5-day rotation as opposed to the 6th day. They were pitching him every 6th day. So,
and I guess that could hold some merit, but I agree. I guess you could do that at the big league level. I'm sure you're onto something with this service time manipulation. I bet you that certainly has something to do with it. I know they got a little more lax and liberal on those rules, but at the end of the day, we still see a lot of guys spend times in the minors that they shouldn't because of those rules.
And then I wanted to ask you about this cat that's coming up today for the Chicago Cubs, the first baseman. How do you pronounce his name?
Matt Mervis. And Mr. Mervis was an undrafted free agent out of Duke in 2020. You know, it was a COVID draft, so they shortened the draft a little bit, but he still didn't make the draft cut, and he only got $20,000 on his first contract from the Chicago Cubs. Again, he was out at Duke. He's known for power, but the special thing about him, at least through the minors to this point with his power, his strikeout to walk ratio is pretty even. That's really rare for a power hitter, especially nowadays. Usually that strikeout number is way up there. So that's what brought a lot of appeal to Mervis, even with the roster with the likes of Trey Mancini, with the likes of Eric Hosmer and those types. You like what you got in a kid in Mervis to hopefully provide a spark, and he did just that today. He tacked on an insurance run RBI single to solidify the Cubs' victory 4-1 as they did officially beat the Marlins, and Matt Mervis had an RBI single for insurance to make it 4-1. So not a terrible debut for the young fella. I know a lot of Chicagoans are excited about this kid, and he has the potential to not only hit for power, but keep his strikeout numbers down as well, which for a young power hitter is pretty special.
So when I prepare for the broadcasts for the Braves Country Baseball broadcast, I always do turn back times, and then I do birthdays and da-da-da-da-da. And the site that I go on to find the birthdays, I'll pick them. First thing I'll do is I'll look for Atlanta Braves birthdays, and then after that I'll look for baseball birthdays via their WAR and whatnot. And sometimes I'll mention guys that, they had the most wins born on this day, if it's a high win or a high WAR rate or a lot of home runs, what have you. I don't do it all the time, but I do it sometimes. And today I was noticing something, because I'm looking at the WAR, and it's one of those days where there's like a low WAR on guys born on this day. But I was just looking for the statistics and whatnot. Are you familiar with what OPS plus is?
Yeah, on base plus slugging.
Well, it's on base plus slugging, but OPS plus is on base plus slugging adjusted to the player's ballpark he played in.
Oh, plus. Okay, yep, that makes sense.
And I'm looking at this because I see a guy that was born in 1857.
Wow.
His name was Lee Richmond. He played for the Braves, he played for the Reds, then he played for Providence and Worcester. And they show that he had 75 wins, 100 losses, a 3.06 ERA, which was kind of high back then, because that was back in the ultimate dead ball era, where they didn't change out the ball. A lot of times the ball was wet. A lot of times the ball was full of mud. You could barely see it. Anyways, the ball didn't move, and home runs were not common. But my biggest takeaway from this is adjusted number to the player's ballpark that he played in. And typically when you see the OPS plus or an ERA plus, 100 is league average. Below that would mean that you're subpar. above that means you're much better. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
How the hell are you going to have an OPS plus from anybody that played in the 1870s adjusted to their ballpark? I mean, look, I love the numbers in baseball, but we're getting into the weeds here this is flat out kooky dukes. You've got an OPS plus of a guy that played from 1879 to 1886, and you're giving him an OPS plus rating of 95 and ERA plus rating of 94. You can't possibly know that.
What do they do? Put in a video game simulation of a creative player at the Polo Grounds and seeing how successful he was?
I mean, how can you... A guy that played on any stadium that in the 1879, how could you possibly compare that to someone playing at Truist Park in 2023?
Especially with those, all those quirky ballpark dimensions back in the day. I mean, I know it's only video game stuff, but I remember I played in Polo Grounds, a couple other of those stadiums as well. A couple beautiful stadiums, but the oddest dimensions in the world. Some of them had, 300-foot left and right field with 30, 40, 50 feet fences. And then you have the Polo Grounds that you really have to hit one about 650 feet to dead center to get that thing over the fence. It was insane, the dimensions of stadiums back then. Cool stuff for sure. All those old-time stadiums, really cool stuff.
The Polo Grounds is still my favorite stadium to play in with the MLB The Show and whatnot.
Yup.
Because it's like 250 feet down the right and left field line, but it's like you said, it's like damn near 600 feet to dead center.
That one just always will be number 1 or 2 in my heart as well because, like you said, the quirky dimensions, it's just nostalgic.
I'll tell you what, you don't put Marcell Ozuna in the defensive outfield when you're playing the Polo Grounds.
No, hey, I don't know if I put him in the
waddling for days. That ball keeps rolling and rolling and rolling.
I don't even know if I'd put him in the outfield if I was playing at the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Do you remember when they first opened up the Houston Stadium?
Yes, yes, sir.
And they tried to mirror. I think it was the Polo Grounds. They were trying to mirror some old stadium, and they had the indention upward as you ran up the hill in center field.
And the flagpole in the middle of the hill, too.
Exactly. And then someone damn near broke their neck, so they said, we got to quit doing this. And it's like, we had to... Did you really have to be told that that's dangerous? It's just like the idiotic decision back in the NFL in the 1950s when they had the goalposts at the front of the end zone. Like someone like that wasn't begging for someone to try to go across the goal line and break their spine right there on the goalpost. Like, what are we doing here?
A tight end's just running a post full speed, literally into the post.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Could you imagine that? That'd be like, the foul poles in baseball being like in left and right field, literally in left and right field.
What got me about the one with Houston was it's idiotic enough that they were mirroring. Okay. That there was ever a stadium that did that had an incline in center field with a flagpole, right? Idiotic enough. But what in God's name made Major League Baseball think it was a good idea to let them mirror that in 2003, 2004, whenever the heck it was that they opened that thing up?
Yeah, and it was pretty much one of those things too. Hitters didn't hit it that far too often, but when you hit it on that hill, it was pretty much a guaranteed inside the park home run, no matter who was running. Because
that's the thing is when they did it in the Polo, I'm pretty sure it was the Polo Grounds that had that dimension. It was like 600 feet away. The ball was never hit that far, and if it rolled up that hill, it was going to roll back down. It really didn't. In Houston, it was like 380 from home plate. Like there were guys smacking into that thing. I remember Lance Berkman running into that thing a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's just a scary moment because back in the day, you still got your high-end defenders nowadays, but when you had guys like Aaron Rowand and those types playing center field, when they're literally throwing their bodies into the wall, man, that's some dangerous stuff. We've seen Derek Jeter run into the crowd, so I can only imagine what it would be like, not only running up the center field hill to try and catch a ball, but, oh, by the way, you got a flagpole in your way, too.
Man. Yeah. Remember Jim Edmonds of the Cardinals when he would lay out? I guarantee he wasn't doing that in Houston.
Yeah, I think his front teeth would get stuck into that pole. Man, he used to dive face first into fences. That guy's nose would get messed up. You ain't doing that in Houston, though.
It lasted much longer than a show. I think it was 4 or 5 years. It was. I remember every year when they would roll it back out and they would open. I would go, damn! If that pole isn't still in the middle of the field, man, what are they doing there?
And I can't, like you said, that's just one of those things where I can't believe that was like ever a thing, right? Because that's the beautiful thing about baseball. The old-time parks, new-time parks, Griffith Stadium, Forbes Field, Wrigley Field, Ebbets Park, Exhibition Stadium.
But the thing is, if it was 550 feet from home plate, it's not a big deal.
Right, exactly.
But it was like 385 feet from home plate. I mean, and this was in the era of Mark McGwire going to that stadium because they were in the same division. Mark McGwire going to that stadium regularly and pounding the hell out of the ball and guys play out there. Lance Berkman, Fat Elvis, was out there playing center field on most days out there. He's out there running up there trying to avoid the pole. What a stupid idea that was.
And then once the Astros had their really bad spout, they had no one who could hit it as far as the pole. So they're like, yeah, we might as well just take this down.
I just can't believe that Major League Baseball didn't walk in and go, whoa, 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 what are you doing? No, we're not doing that.
Could you imagine the Braves just putting like a garden in center field?
Center fielder Jr. breaking his ankle on a tomato plant.
Mr. Freeze running in the outfield trips on a rose bush.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to give you our locks and wrap this puppy up. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD on YouTube.com.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hey, Braves Country! Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night, and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball, for the fans, by the fans.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
As you know, Monty, Vaughn's been working on a couple of new pitches, the Eliminator and the Humiliator, to complement his fastball, the Terminator.
I heard that.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcast school has really paid off.
Welcome back. Braves country today. We go live 3 to 5. Make sure to keep it locked in here on the key. If you're looking for Braves country baseball later tonight, 7:20 first pitch. We'll have it here on Braves Country HD. Max Fried versus Kramer. He's got a 6 ERA, and then tomorrow's starter for Baltimore, he's got a 6 ERA. So I'm liking our chances of winning this series. And I'll tell you what, the sky is falling in New York City right now with the New York Mets, the New York Yankees.
Man, and the Yankees are in last, and they're, 500, a little bit over 500?
Yeah, well, the Yankees are in last because they're in a much better division.
Correct. The Mets are just medding. I mean, their division's still good, don't get me wrong. You got the Braves, and the Phillies are still tough, the Marlins are tough, but the Mets, I didn't like. They got way too many old guys at the beginning of the year to me.
Well, they've got
Verlander.
I mean,
and
honestly,
Scherzer.
Verlander went out and pitched a good game, but the Mets' biggest issue to me is still the fact that their offense is not very good. And they've been delusional up there for like 7 or 8 years. Every year you go into the regular season, preseason, all of the prognosticators are picking the Mets to win the division, et cetera, because they're in love with Alonso and Lindor now. And I'm always like, but what do you have outside of that?
Mm-hmm.
Nemo's a decent player. Starlin Marte is rapidly becoming lesser than what he was.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But they are so top-heavy. Even if you say those 4 are a solid top 4 in your lineup, let's just go ahead and give them that argument. Man, the bottom half of that lineup is just, it's anemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand why every single year you go through the same thing, and I guess it's the Northeast bias. I guess that's what a lot of it's got to do, because most of your national most of the, like the MLB Network, ESPN, they're all centralized up in the Northeast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it, the Mets are going to have issues scoring, and the Phillies are going to have issues stopping you from scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not playing terrible baseball. Both of them are sitting around 500. But the Braves, I believe, have an elite starting pitching staff. Even with their injuries, their bullpen is one of the better ones, and they just are now getting Iglesias back. Now that everybody can slide into where they're supposed to pitch at, that Braves bullpen just became a lot better. And then the offense, I saw a clip, and I'll eventually get it recorded up and where folks can hear it, but I saw a clip where John Smoltz is talking about the fact that talent-wise, this Braves team is probably the best team that's ever been put out there in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to agree with him, because even as good as the starting pitching is, or was in the 90s, our offense was never that good.
Mm-hmm.
And our bullpen was always an issue. Always an issue. About the only year that we didn't have a bad bullpen was 95 when we won it. When you had Wohlers back there slamming the door. We never could hold on to leads in the playoffs. We could hold on to a lead in the middle of May. But we always had issues with closing games out and come playoff time. We never had what the Yankees had. I never understood why Scherholtz, that's why I always thought he was overrated as a GM. He never made the back end of that bullpen a priority. You go in the season and you'd have you might even have a talented closer, even when they had Smoltz closing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you got to the playoffs, you couldn't build your way to that. You couldn't get to the closer because the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings were just crapshoots.
Mm-hmm.
anyways.
Yeah, and you see it time and time again, but I think this Braves team is, and you get Iglesias back today now, and, that's going to only help solidify the back end of their bullpen. Minter should improve as he's, in a lesser role down the stretch. It's just good news if you're Braves fans, and I really like the position they put themselves in so far this year. They're a really deep team with a lot of talent, and although they face some injuries to this point, hasn't really bothered them.
What is your lock for the day?
My lock for the day is this. Since we're talking baseball, I'm sticking with the world of baseball. And although they're underdogs, technically, I like the White Sox straight up. They're at Cincinnati Reds. The White Sox are +1, so they're straight up. You bet $10, you'd win $10. That's straight up to win. On the run line, they're -1.5. I don't really like that much, but straight up, they're +100, so you get your money back if you win. Lance Lynn's on the mound for them. He looked better last week. They left him a little too long. Then steam ran out, but that's at 6:40 Eastern. White Sox are in Cincinnati squaring off with the Reds. I do like the White Sox tonight. And what
is it, Lance Lynn tonight? Is that who it is?
Correct, Lance Lynn. And he had a perfect game going into the 7th last week against the Rays. To me, the manager let him in a little too long, and then he kind of got hit around a little bit. But they need this win, so I like the White Sox on the road tonight.
All right, I like let me see what the line is right now, see if it's gone. I'll go ahead and take the Braves on the run line, -1.5 at a -115 clip. I think they're going to put some runs up, and man, Max Fried has an ERA of basically doesn't exist. What was like .045 or something like that.
Yep.
He's going to be out there dealing. Kramer, I've watched this guy pitch a few times. He's okay, but he's going to give up. He gave up 7 home runs already this year. He's going to give up 2 or 3 before they pull him tonight. So give me the Braves -1.5. You can either go with that, or you can go with the fact that their over is 4.5 runs right now, and I like both of them.
I like either of those for the Braves as well. I think both of those have a good chance of hitting. So I was thinking about going with the Braves -1.5 myself. I like that pick a lot.
I'll tell you another one that I like is I like that under in the Houston Seattle game 7, Castillo versus Javier. Javier usually pitches really well on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And
he
if
does.
You're looking for a good money line game tonight, if you want to play around a little bit, because I already put money on this one. Kansas City at home, Keller versus the Oakland A's, and Kyle Muller and his 6 ERA.
I like that. Kyle Muller, too. He hasn't really had a good start yet to date besides opening day.
Right. So I like that one a lot. What is your walk-off?
My walk-off is this. Everybody enjoy the weekend. Starting to get nicer out here. Pay attention. UFC, very good fight tomorrow. Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo in the main event. That should be a phenomenal fight. Go Aljamain Sterling.
All right, my walk-off is Braves versus Baltimore Orioles right here on Braves Country HD on YouTube tonight. And 7:20 first pitch, so we're going to take a little break, but we are going to leave the feed up just because it's a lot. I'm just tired of building up new feeds and tearing them down and bringing them back a couple hours later. So we're just going to do it this way. We're going to let it roll, and we'll see you here in a couple hours. Go Braves. And for those on 99.1 FM, keep it locked in here as they got a lot of great stuff coming up tonight, and as well as Sports Map Radio over the weekend. And make sure to get your morning started off right, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., Rhino Radio Penitentiary. For all the guys and gals behind Armchair Quarterback Radio, for Braves Country today, I'm Mac McGee. Let's go get him tonight. We'll be back in just a little while.
Woohoo!
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please. Can I get another cigarette, please?
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.